From the age of 30, we lose approximately 3% to 8% of our muscle mass every decade, with the legs being the limbs most severely affected by this progressive deterioration. This condition, known as sarcopenia, poses a real threat to our functional independence and quality of life. What few people understand is that the first moments of each morning offer an extraordinary opportunity to reverse this process through simple and effective strategies. During sleep, our bodies face metabolic challenges that can promote muscle breakdown. Prolonged fasting, immobility, and reduced circulation create an environment that contributes to muscle catabolism. It is precisely in this critical window between waking and the early hours of the day that the secret lies to transforming a potentially destructive period into a powerful opportunity for muscle strengthening. Implementing specific protocols in the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking triggers a cascade of anabolic responses that extend throughout the day. These strategies do not require sophisticated equipment or large investments of time, but are based on physiological principles that can be easily integrated into anyone's morning routine. Get ready to discover how a simple change in your morning routine can mean the difference between a life of vitality and independence or a future compromised by muscle weakness. When we wake up in the morning, our body goes through a fundamental transition that determines how our muscles will behave throughout the day. During sleep, our muscles remain in a state of prolonged rest with reduced body temperature and decreased nutrient flow. This natural state of muscle dormancy, although necessary for nighttime recovery, can become a detrimental factor if not properly reversed in the first moments after waking. Morning muscle activation is therefore a systematic and scientifically based process that aims to gradually awaken the muscle fibers in the legs, restoring their contractile capacity and preparing them for the physical demands that will come throughout the day. The first crucial aspect of this morning routine involves understanding that our leg muscles, including large groups such as the quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, and calves, respond extraordinarily positively to specific stimuli applied shortly after waking up. These stimuli do not need to be intense or exhausting. On the contrary, their effectiveness lies in the precision and gradual progression of the movements. Starting while still in bed, we can begin with simple plantar flexions, where we move our feet up and down, activating the calf muscles and stimulating peripheral circulation. This seemingly simple movement triggers a cascade of physiological responses that extend throughout the entire leg muscle chain. Progressing to more complex movements, alternating knee lifts while still lying down, represents a second level of activation. This exercise simultaneously engages the hip flexors, deep abdominal muscles, and pelvic stabilizing muscles, creating a synergy that prepares the entire locomotor system for the transition from a horizontal to a vertical position. Coordinated breathing during these movements amplifies their benefits, as adequate oxygen is essential for morning muscle metabolism. Each deep inhalation carries essential elements for cellular function, while each controlled exhalation removes metabolic byproducts accumulated during the rest period. Upon assuming the standing position, the activation sequence evolves into movements that challenge balance and proprioception. The simple act of standing on tiptoes for a few seconds, followed by a controlled return to the normal position, represents an extraordinarily effective neuromuscular activation exercise. During this movement, thousands of sensory receptors located in the muscles, tendons, and joints of the legs send precise information to the central nervous system, re-establishing communication pathways that remained partially inactive during sleep. This neurological reconnection is absolutely essential for preventing muscle atrophy and maintaining optimal lower limb function. Dynamic stretching is another essential dimension of morning activation. Unlike traditional static stretching, dynamic movements involve controlled ranges of motion that gradually take the muscles beyond their resting length. A paradigmatic example is the controlled leg swing, where, leaning against a wall or stable piece of furniture, we alternately raise each leg forward and backward, maintaining total control of the movement. This exercise not only stretches the posterior and anterior thigh muscles, but also strengthens the hip stabilizers and improves intermuscular coordination. Stationary walking represents the apex of this activation sequence, as it simulates the fundamental pattern of human locomotion in a controlled environment. By alternately raising the knees while maintaining an upright posture, we reproduce the neural patterns of walking, reactivating the locomotor circuits and preparing the neuromuscular system for the more complex activities of the day. During this exercise, it is crucial to focus on the quality of the movement, ensuring that each knee lift is performed with conscious control and proper body alignment. The gradual increase in muscle temperature through these morning exercises is an additional benefit of immense value. Warmed muscles contract more efficiently, relax more completely, and are significantly less prone to injury. This rise in temperature also accelerates the enzymatic enzymatic reactions involved in cellular energy production, optimizing muscle metabolism from the very first moments of the day. Consequently, this morning activation routine not only prevents muscle loss, but also establishes the ideal conditions for the continuous growth and strengthening of the leg muscles throughout the day. Waking up in the morning represents a crucial moment when our body emerges from a prolonged state of fasting, during which metabolic processes remained active even in the absence of external nutritional input. During the hours of sleep, our body used its energy reserves to maintain vital functions, repair tissues, and perform cellular cleansing processes. Consequently, when we wake up, we find ourselves in a specific biochemical condition characterized by glycogen depletion, relative dehydration, and residual muscle catabolism. This particular situation requires strategic and scientifically based nutritional intervention to quickly reverse catabolic processes and establish an anabolic environment favorable to the preservation and growth of leg muscle mass. Morning hydration is the first fundamental pillar of this protocol, as water is the medium through which all cellular metabolic processes occur. During the night, we lose approximately half a liter of water through respiration and insensible perspiration, creating a state of subclinical dehydration that directly affects the efficiency of protein synthesis processes. Adequate rehydration in the first few minutes after waking not only restores plasma volume, but also optimizes the transport of nutrients to muscle cells and facilitates the removal of residual metabolic products. It is recommended to start with approximately 500 milliliters of pure water, preferably at room temperature, consumed gradually in the first 15 minutes after waking up. This initial amount serves as a physiological signal that activates the kidneys, rebalances electrolytes, and prepares the digestive system for optimal absorption of nutrients that will be consumed subsequently. The morning nutritional strategy should prioritize proteins of high biological value and rapid absorption, with whey protein considered the gold standard for this specific application. Whey proteins have an amino acid profile exceptionally rich in leucine, isoleucine, and valine, the branched-chain amino acids that play a central role in anabolic signaling and the prevention of muscle breakdown. When consumed on an empty stomach, these proteins are quickly digested and absorbed, raising plasma amino acid levels in approximately 30 to 45 minutes. This rapid elevation creates a favorable biochemical environment that activates the mTOR, mechanistic target of rapamycin path, a protein complex that functions as a cellular nutritional sensor and master regulator of muscle protein synthesis. A 25-30 gram serving of whey protein dissolved in water or skim milk provides the ideal amount of essential amino acids to maximize this morning anabolic response. Complementing protein, the strategic inclusion of moderate glycemic index carbohydrates plays a key synergistic role in optimizing the anabolic response. Carbohydrates stimulate the release of insulin, a hormone that not only facilitates glucose uptake by muscle cells, but also enhances amino acid absorption and reduces the activity of proteolytic enzymes responsible for muscle breakdown. Fruits, such as bananas or apples or even a small portion of oats, provide quality carbohydrates accompanied by fiber, vitamins, and minerals that support metabolic processes. The protein-carbohydrate combination creates a synergistic effect where the presence of insulin amplifies the use of amino acids for protein synthesis, while amino acids prolong and intensify the anabolic effect of insulin. Supplementing with free amino acids is an advanced strategy for those seeking to maximize morning muscle preservation. Branched-chain amino acids, BCAAs, or essential amino acids, EAAs, in free form bypass the digestive process, being rapidly absorbed by the intestine and quickly reaching the systemic circulation. Approximately 10 to 15 grams of EAAs consumed 15 minutes before the main protein create an initial amino acid spike that serves as an advanced signal for protein synthesis processes. This strategy is particularly beneficial for individuals over 40, when the anabolic sensitivity of muscles to dietary protein naturally decreases. The precise timing of this nutritional protocol is absolutely critical for maximum effectiveness. Consumption should ideally occur within the first 30 minutes after waking, when morning cortisol levels are high and the body is in a more pronounced catabolic state. This time window represents the moment of greatest muscle vulnerability, but also of greatest responsiveness to anabolic stimuli. Consistency in the daily application of this protocol establishes a metabolic rhythm that optimizes nutrient utilization and creates a pattern of cellular signaling favorable to the preservation of muscle mass. After a few weeks of consistent implementation, the body develops a metabolic adaptation that makes the morning anabolic response even more efficient, establishing a virtuous cycle of muscle preservation and growth that is especially evident in the leg muscles, where age-related muscle loss tends to be more pronounced. Joint mobility and muscle flexibility are fundamental and often underestimated components in the preservation of leg muscle mass, especially during the morning when our body emerges from hours of relative immobility. During sleep, our joints remain in static positions for prolonged periods, resulting in a temporary decrease in range of motion and adaptive shortening of the surrounding soft tissues. This morning stiffness is not merely a temporary inconvenience, but rather a factor that can significantly compromise the quality of muscle recruitment and the efficiency of movement patterns throughout the day. When muscles operate at reduced ranges of motion, they not only lose their ability to generate maximum force, but also become more susceptible to atrophy due to disuse, as muscle fibers in shortened positions tend to develop adaptations that favor the loss of sarcomeres in series. The joint mobility sequence should begin with gentle, progressive movements focused on the hip joint, considered the most functionally important joint for the leg muscles. Hip circles, performed in an upright position with the hands resting on the waist, are a seemingly simple exercise that has profound effects on the preparation of the entire lower kinetic chain. During this circular movement, multiple muscle groups are activated in a coordinated manner. The hip flexors are stretched while the extensors are strengthened isometrically. The abductors and adductors work in synergy to control lateral movement, and the deep hip rotators are progressively mobilized through increasing ranges of motion. The exercise should be performed slowly, with full proprioceptive awareness, allowing the synovial fluid to be redistributed properly in the joint capsule and the joint's mechanical receptors to be gradually sensitized to the wider movements that will follow. Specific hamstring stretching through anterior trunk flexion with extended legs is another fundamental pillar of this morning routine. This muscle group, composed of the biceps femoris, semitendinosus, and semimembranosus, tends to develop significant adaptive shortening due to prolonged hip flexion positions during sleep and modern sedentary activities. Stretching should be performed progressively, starting with a slight flexion of the trunk and gradually increasing the range of motion as the posterior thigh muscles relax and adapt to the stimulus. During this process, it is crucial to keep the spine in a neutral position and avoid compensations through excessive lumbar flexion. Deep, controlled breathing during stretching facilitates relaxation of the sympathetic nervous system and promotes a relaxation response that enhances the effects of stretching on tissue extensibility. Mobilization of the knee joint through controlled flexion and extension in the supine position is an essential component for maintaining the health of this complex joint. The knee, being a modified hinge joint, depends crucially on regular movement to maintain proper distribution of synovial fluid and prevent the formation of intra-articular adhesions. During this exercise, the individual should focus on the quality of movement rather than the quantity, performing each flexion and extension with total control and attention to joint sensations. The meniscal, ligamentous, and cartilaginous structures benefit greatly from this gentle mobilization, which promotes the nutrition of avascular tissues through the mechanism of diffusion facilitated by movement. The flexibility of the calf muscles, including the gastrocnemius and soleus muscles, requires special attention due to their crucial role in propulsion during walking and running. Stretching against a wall, where the individual stands in a lunge position with their hands resting on the wall and the back leg extended, provides a progressive and controlled stimulus to these muscles. The differentiation between stretching the gastrocnemius with the knee extended and the soleus with the knee flexed allows for a specific approach to each component of this complex muscle. Holding each position for 30 to 60 seconds allows the viscoelastic mechanisms of the tissues to be adequately stimulated, resulting in lasting gains in flexibility. The integration of multiplanar movements through lunges in different directions represents the pinnacle of this mobility routine, as it simulates the complex movement patterns we encounter in daily activities. The front, side, and rotational lunges simultaneously challenge flexibility, strength, and motor control, creating neural adaptations that translate into improved muscle and joint function. During these movements, multiple body systems work in synergy. The vestibular system maintains balance, the proprioceptive system provides information about body position in space, and the muscular system generates and controls the forces necessary to perform the movements with precision. This systemic integration not only improves local mobility of the leg joints, but also establishes neural patterns that promote optimized muscle function and prevent sarcopenia over time. Functional strength training performed early in the day is an extraordinarily effective strategy for combating sarcopenia and preserving the integrity of the leg muscles through precise, scientifically based mechanical stimuli. Unlike conventional gym workouts, this morning routine uses only body weight and movements that mimic functional patterns of daily life, creating neuromuscular adaptations that directly translate into improved quality of life and functional independence. The beauty of this approach lies in its apparent simplicity, which masks a profound physiological complexity where each movement simultaneously recruits multiple muscle groups, energy systems, and neural pathways, establishing a robust anabolic stimulus that lasts for hours after the exercises are performed. The free body squat is the fundamental exercise in this morning routine, representing a primordial movement that involves virtually all the leg muscles in a coordinated and functionally relevant pattern. During a proper squat, the quadriceps muscles work eccentrically during the controlled descent, developing strength in extension that is crucial for activities such as descending stairs or sitting in chairs. Simultaneously, the glutes are intensely activated to control hip flexion and generate the force necessary for the upward phase of the movement. The hamstring muscles act as stabilizers, controlling the speed of descent and assisting the glutes in hip extension, while the calf muscles maintain ankle stability and contribute to postural balance. Performing 15 to 20 repetitions of squats in the morning with impeccable technique and controlled speed stimulates muscle protein synthesis through the mechanical activation of muscle fibers and the release of local growth factors that promote tissue regeneration and strengthening. Calf raises in their multiple variations are another essential component of this functional routine, specifically targeting the posterior leg muscles that are often neglected in modern daily activities. The gastrocnemius muscle, with its two medial and lateral heads, and the soleus located deep within, constitute a muscle complex responsible not only for propulsion during walking and running, but also for maintaining postural balance and venous return from the lower limbs. Performing calf raises in different positions with the feet parallel, slightly divergent or convergent, allows for the preferential recruitment of different muscle bundles, maximizing the growth stimulus. Progression can be easily modulated by varying the speed of execution, the time of isometric contraction at the peak of the movement, or unilateral execution, which intensifies the stimulus and further challenges the proprioceptive system. Alternating lunges are a more complex exercise that integrates strength, balance, and coordination in a functionally relevant movement that simulates fundamental locomotor patterns. During a lunge, the front leg primarily works in hip and knee flexion, intensely recruiting the quadriceps and glutes, while the back leg is challenged in an extension position that dynamically stretches the hip flexors and strengthens the extensors. Alternating between legs creates a balanced bilateral stimulus that prevents muscle imbalances and develops weight transfer capacity, a fundamental skill for activities such as climbing stairs, walking on uneven terrain, or getting up from low positions. Performing 10 to 15 lunges for each leg in the morning, focusing on the quality of the movement and full range of motion, establishes neural patterns that optimize muscle function throughout the day. The glute bridge, performed lying on your back with your feet flat on the floor and your hips raised in a controlled manner, is a seemingly simple exercise that offers extraordinary benefits for the posterior leg muscles and pelvic stability. During this movement, the glutes are maximally activated to lift the hips against gravity, while the hamstrings act synergistically to maintain knee flexion and contribute to hip extension. The core muscles are simultaneously challenged to maintain spinal stability and prevent unwanted compensations. Maintaining the elevated position for a few seconds enhances the stimulus through isometric contraction, which promotes specific adaptations in strength maintenance capacity and localized muscle endurance. Consistent implementation of this functional strength morning routine creates profound physiological adaptations that transcend the immediate benefits of muscle activation. Regular exposure to progressive mechanical stimuli induces the phenomenon of supercompensation, where the body not only restores the homeostasis disturbed by exercise, but adapts to a higher level of functional capacity. This adaptation manifests itself through increased mitochondrial density in muscle fibers, improved neuromuscular efficiency, strengthening of connective structures, and optimization of cellular energy systems. Consequently, the leg muscles become not only stronger and more resistant, but also more metabolically efficient, contributing to the maintenance of muscle mass and the prevention of age-related sarcopenia. Peripheral circulation in the lower extremities is an extraordinarily complex system that is vital for maintaining muscle health, especially during the morning when the body emerges from hours of relative circulatory inactivity. During sleep, the natural reduction in heart rate and blood pressure, combined with prolonged horizontal positioning, results in a significant decrease in vascular flow to the leg muscles. This condition of relative hypoperfusion not only compromises the supply of oxygen and essential nutrients to muscle cells, but also impairs the efficient removal of residual metabolic products accumulated during nighttime repair processes. Consequently, the implementation of specific circulatory stimulation techniques in the first moments after waking up becomes essential to reverse this state of vascular stagnation and establish an optimized physiological environment for the preservation and growth of muscle mass. Self-massage is one of the most accessible and effective techniques for promoting morning circulatory activation, working through multiple physiological mechanisms that complement each other to optimize peripheral vascular flow. Using your own hands or simple implements such as tennis balls or foam rollers, the application of rhythmic rhythmic and progressive pressure on the muscle groups of the legs triggers a cascade of beneficial vascular responses. The mechanical pressure exerted during massage temporarily compresses the capillaries and veins, creating a milking effect that propels venous return toward the heart. When the pressure is removed, a phenomenon of reactive hyperemia occurs, where the vessels dilate beyond their normal caliber, resulting in a significant increase in arterial flow to the massaged region. This alternation between compression and release creates a pumping effect that dramatically improves muscle perfusion and facilitates the delivery of vital nutrients to muscle fibers. Elevating the legs is another fundamental strategy that uses gravitational force to optimize venous return and reduce peripheral vascular congestion. By positioning the legs at an elevation of approximately 30 to 45 degrees above heart level for periods of 5 to 10 minutes, we create a favorable hydrostatic gradient that facilitates the drainage of venous fluid accumulated in the lower limbs during the night. This technique is particularly beneficial for individuals who experience morning edema or a feeling of heaviness in the legs, symptoms often associated with mild venous insufficiency or interstitial fluid accumulation. During elevation, it is recommended to perform gentle flexion and extension movements of the ankles, creating rhythmic contractions of the calf muscles that act as an additional muscle pump, enhancing the vascular drainage effect. Specific vascular exercises represent a more dynamic approach to stimulating peripheral circulation using controlled muscle contractions to activate the natural muscle pumps present in the lower limbs. Alternating plantar flexion and dorsiflexion of the feet, performed rhythmically and sustainably, intensely activates the calf muscles, which act as a true peripheral heart, responsible for driving venous return from the extremities. During each contraction of the triceps surae, the muscles compress the deep veins located between the muscle bundles, creating a propulsion mechanism that pumps venous fluid toward the heart. Alternating with dorsiflexion allows muscle relaxation and venous filling, preparing the system for the next pumping cycle. Performing 20 to 30 repetitions of this simple movement while still in bed or immediately after getting up establishes an optimized circulatory pattern that persists for several hours. The application of thermal contrasts through simple techniques, such as alternating between warm and cold water during the morning shower, represents an advanced vascular stimulation strategy that takes advantage of the body's natural thermoregulatory responses. Exposure to heat promotes vasodilation through relaxation of the vascular smooth muscle, increasing the caliber of the vessels and facilitating vascular flow. In contrast, the application of cold induces reflex vasoconstriction, followed by reactive vasodilation when the cold stimulus is removed. This thermal alternation creates a vascular gymnastics effect that improves the reactivity and elasticity of peripheral vessels, optimizing their ability to respond to the metabolic demands of the leg muscles. Deep diaphragmatic breathing, often underestimated as a circulatory technique, has profound effects on systemic hemodynamics through its influence on intrathoracic pressure and venous return. During deep inspiration, the descent of the diaphragm creates negative pressure in the thoracic cavity that draws venous return from the extremities, while the positive pressure generated in the abdominal cavity compresses the abdominal veins, propelling fluid toward the heart. Controlled prolonged exhalation maintains this favorable pressure gradient, continuously optimizing venous return. The practice of 10 to 15 deep breathing cycles performed in a supine position with the legs slightly elevated combines the benefits of diaphragmatic breathing with favorable gravitational positioning, creating a powerful circulatory stimulus that efficiently prepares the vascular system for the demands of the day ahead. Sleep is much more than just a period of rest. It is an active and fundamental phase during which the most important processes of muscle repair, regeneration, and growth occur, directly determining the preservation of leg muscle mass over time. During the different phases of the sleep cycle, our body performs a complex biochemical symphony where anabolic hormones are released, proteins are synthesized, cellular toxins are removed, and energy is restored to sustain optimal muscle function the next day. The quality of this nighttime recovery period profoundly influences not only our ability to maintain existing muscle mass, but also our ability to respond positively to growth and strengthening stimuli applied during waking hours. Understanding and optimizing these processes is therefore essential for any effective strategy to prevent sarcopenia and maintain lower limb function. During deep sleep, specifically in stages 3 and 4 of non-REM sleep, there is maximum release of human growth hormone, an extraordinarily powerful anabolic substance that has direct effects on muscle protein synthesis and tissue regeneration. This hormone stimulates the uptake of amino acids by muscle cells, accelerates the formation of new contractile proteins, and promotes the repair of structural microdamage accumulated during daily activities. At the same time, levels of cortisol, the body's main catabolic hormone, reach their lowest values during the early morning hours, creating an ideal hormonal environment for anabolic processes. The interruption disruption or fragmentation of deep sleep drastically compromises this hormonal release, resulting in an imbalance that favors muscle catabolism and impairs the recovery and growth capacity of leg muscle tissue. Body temperature during sleep plays a crucial role in optimizing muscle recovery processes, following a specific circadian rhythm that directly influences the quality of tissue regeneration. During the first hours of sleep, body temperature gradually decreases, creating metabolic conditions that favor energy conservation and direct resources to cell repair processes. This thermal reduction also facilitates the activation of specific enzymes involved in protein synthesis and the removal of residual metabolic products accumulated in muscle fibers. Maintaining a sleep environment with an adequate temperature, generally between 64 and 69 degrees Fahrenheit, allows this natural thermal cycle to occur without interference, maximizing the efficiency of muscle recovery processes. The cerebral lymphatic system, known as the glymphatic system, becomes extraordinarily active during sleep, performing a cleansing function that removes toxins and metabolic products accumulated not only in the brain, but also in peripheral tissues, including the leg muscles. This system uses the flow of cerebrospinal fluid to transport and eliminate harmful substances that could interfere with normal cellular function. During deep sleep, the spaces between brain cells expand by up to 60%, allowing for more efficient circulation of this cleansing fluid. Although this system is primarily cerebral, it connects with peripheral lymphatic systems, contributing to the removal of toxins from the leg muscles and optimizing the cellular environment for recovery and growth processes. Muscle protein synthesis reaches its peak during specific periods of sleep, particularly during REM sleep and early deep sleep. During these periods, ribosomal activity in muscle cells intensifies dramatically, using circulating amino acids to build new contractile, structural, and enzymatic proteins essential for muscle function. This process is energetically costly and requires specific conditions of oxygenation, vascular perfusion, and substrate availability. Sleep fragmentation or reduction in total sleep duration significantly compromises these periods of intensive synthesis, resulting in a negative protein balance that favors gradual muscle loss over time. The first moments after waking represent a critical window where the transition from the nighttime recovery state to daytime activity must be carefully managed to preserve the benefits gained during sleep. Abrupt or stressful awakening can prematurely raise cortisol and adrenaline levels, interfering with the continuity of the anabolic processes initiated during the night. Implementing a gradual wake-up routine with gentle exposure to natural light, slow movements, and relaxation techniques allows for a harmonious transition that preserves the favorable hormonal environment created during sleep. This careful transition is especially important for the leg muscles, which benefit from prolonged maintenance of the anabolic state to complete recovery processes and prepare adequately for the functional demands of the new day. Consistent sleep and wake times establish a robust circadian rhythm that optimizes all aspects of muscle recovery by synchronizing metabolic processes with natural cycles of light and darkness. When we maintain regular schedules, our bodies develop a precise internal programming that anticipates and prepares the body's systems for each phase of the sleep-wake cycle. This synchronization results in more efficient hormone release, better quality deep sleep, and more effective muscle recovery processes, creating a virtuous cycle that translates into superior preservation of leg muscle mass and better response to strengthening stimuli applied during hours of activity.